Hello, and I'm your host, Kyle Phoenix, and this is lesson 1 from A Course in Miracles. So it reads as Miracles book. This is the workbook for students, which has about 365 lessons. Lesson 1 is nothing I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place means anything. Now look slowly around you and practice applying this idea very specifically to whatever you see. This table does not mean anything. This chair does not mean anything. This hand does not mean anything. This foot does not mean anything. This pen does not mean anything. Then look farther away from your immediate area and apply the idea to a wider range. The door does not mean anything. That body does not mean anything. That lamp does not mean anything. That sign does not mean anything. That shadow does not mean anything. Notice that these statements are not arranged in any order and make no allowance for differences in the kinds of things to which they are applied. That is the purpose of the exercise. The statement should merely be applied to anything you see. As you practice the idea for the day, use it totally indiscriminately. Do not attempt to apply it to everything you see, for these exercises should not become ritualistic. Only be sure that nothing you see is specifically excluded. One thing is like another as far as the application of the idea is concerned. Each of the first 3 lessons should not be done more than twice a day each, preferably morning and evening, nor should they be attempted for more than a minute or so, unless that entails a sense of hurry. A comfortable sense of leisure is essential. So, I've been studying A Course in Miracles for about 20 years now. And this first lesson is generally what opens you up, introduces you to where a course is going to take you. So what I want to do, because I'm going to try to make these as short as possible also for the podcast, is just a reflection on it. Nothing I see in this room, on this street, wherever you may be, means anything. What the course is doing is it is having you practice an exercise to become detached from all the things we normally attach ourselves to. So we normally attach ourselves to the things that we see, the things we can touch, the things that we feel, the things that we observe. So the first lesson is to see that as separate from the spiritual experience, from the consciousness experience which you are having. What is that thing? I do not know what that thing is. I don't know what that thing over there is. I know what it's called. I know what people have told me that it is. I know what it represents. I even know what it looks like. When I say it looks like this other thing, whatever that other thing is again falling into the category of something that people have told me what it is, what it should do, what it should be, and therefore what it should mean to me. So the first lesson of nothing that I see in this room, and I'm looking at lots of different video cameras and a control board and all of those kinds of things, I know what they are because of what people have told me that they are. Doesn't necessarily mean that's what they are. I know what they do because maybe I've been trained or showed how to use them, and therefore I assume, okay, I know what this is. But truly, do I know what this is? Do I know what the composition down on a molecular level might actually be? There's metal in here, there's plastic in here, all these different kinds of things. There's steel, there's a little bit of iron, there's some plastics, there's a little bit of wood down over there. All of these things are different elements, all different kinds of elements. So I truly don't know. There's glass, there's fiberglass, there are all these different kinds of things. So I don't know what all of this is. So the first lesson is to accept that literally the grandness of so many different kinds of things, whatever they may be, even if they may be people around me, escapes my entire ability to define. So now how do I bring this down into real life? Because you got course is really up here and it says, hey, I want you to apply this everywhere. I don't know who people are. I don't know what this experience is for. I know that I'm filming this, that I'm taping this, that I'm going to broadcast this, that hopefully this will help you. I don't know how it will help you. I don't know why it will help you. I do not even know what this thing, this broadcast is for you, for all of the people it touches. I don't even really know, if you really want to take it to a full level, if anybody hears this or anybody relates to this. So that's the first place that we're left at. What do I then know? Because that's what the next supposition or the reverse inter question is. What do I know if I don't know what this other stuff is? And of course, our next lesson will take us there. I have given everything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place, all the meaning that it has for me. The exercises with this idea are the same as those for the first one. Begin with the things that are near you and apply the idea to whatever your glance rests on. Then increase the range outward. Turn your head so that you include whatever is on either side. If possible, turn around and apply the idea to what is behind you. Remain as indiscriminate as possible in selecting subjects for its application. Do not concentrate on anything in particular, and do not attempt to include everything you see in a given area, or you will induce strain. Merely glance easily and fairly quickly around you, trying to avoid selection by size, brightness, color, material, or relative importance to you. Take the subjects simply as you see them. Try to apply the exercise with equal ease to a body or a button, a fly or a floor, an arm or an apple. The sole criterion for applying the idea to anything is merely that your eyes have lighted on it. Make no attempt to include anything particular, but be sure that nothing is specifically excluded. I have given everything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place, all the meaning that it has for me. So, here we are, looking at everything that you have looked at, everything around you, everything that perhaps you touch. You've given that all of the meaning that it has for you. So what do we mean by giving something meaning? So that means that on a big scale, let's say you're at school, you're at work, you've given that importance. You've given that, something, if I don't come here to work and I become unemployed, I'm going to die. My life is going to end. Okay, you've given that meaning. If I don't get this education, I'm never going to get ahead in life. Okay, you've given that meaning. Okay, let's bring down something insignificant that the course talked about in the lesson. A fly. A fly is buzzing around the room. It's irritating. Well, actually, you've given it the meaning of being irritating to you. The fly is just being a fly. Fly is probably trying to figure out where it's at, why it's trapped where it's at, how it was inside, and now it's outside, it's inside, all these different things, all these different constructions, all these different sights and sounds. Think about being a fly. The fly isn't necessarily thinking about being annoying to you, a larger entity that's probably even bigger than it completely can conceive of. But the fly buzzes around you, it touches you, it's annoying. You've given it the meaning of being annoying. So now maybe I'm looking at television. I say, wow, that's a really good idea on TV. I've given that the meaning of having any level of value. So that when we say that television influences people, it's only influencing them because they give it value. You can look upon it without assigning it any kind of value, say, that's what that is. Okay, that doesn't make any sense at all. That's silly. That's completely fiction. If I keep on taking responsibility, ultimately what the course is trying to get us towards, responsibility for my thoughts and for what they do and for what I use them for, then suddenly not only do I become responsible for them, I become an accountable human being. Now think about that. Now I'm accounting for what's going on around me. I'm accounting for how I feel. I'm accounting for how I experience things. I'm accounting for, more importantly, maybe my emotions, how I feel about things. So always, as your host, Kyle Phoenix, think about the meaning that you've given to everything around you. Lesson 3. I do not understand anything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place. Apply this idea in the same way as the previous ones, without making distinctions of any kind. Whatever you see becomes a proper subject for applying the idea. Be sure that you do not question the suitability of anything for application of the idea. These are not exercises in judgment. Anything is suitable if you see it. Some of the things you see may have emotionally charged meaning for you. Try to lay such feelings aside and merely use these things exactly as you would use anything else. The point of the exercise is to help you clear your mind of all past associations, to see things exactly as they appear to you now, and to realize how little you really understand about them. It is therefore essential that you keep a perfectly open mind, unhampered by judgment, in selecting the things to which the idea for the day is to be applied. For this purpose, one thing is like another, equally suitable, and therefore equally useful. I do not understand anything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place. So what this starts bringing in is the concept of not simply just applying meaning, but also, of course, talks about the past. So initially, the way I engage the course is to think about if time, space, the body, and death don't mean anything or don't exist, then why am I upset? So time. I have a picture, I have lots of pictures up in my bedroom and around my house. One of them that I have up is of a teacher, one of my mentors who passed away a couple of years ago, but who I knew really, really well, even beyond college, for about 10 or 15 years, actually closer to 20 years. And she wasn't someone who enjoyed having her picture taken. Her name was Carleen Hatcher Polite. She was an author. She was one of the first black women to be nominated for a Pulitzer for her novel, The Flagellants. So I have this picture of her that was taken in Paris. It was taken, I believe she was probably there in about 1970s, early 1970s, I think till about 1972 or 3 or maybe around 1976. So it was taken sometime then. It's included in a book that she was in, From Harlem to Paris. And she called me up one day and she said, hey, I know you probably want a picture of me, because she'd always been camera shy, and said, no, pictures of her. And she said, this is where there's a picture of me that I like. I just finished doing the interview for it about a year or so ago. It's finally come out. If you want a picture of me, it's in this book. So I get the book. It's a beautiful picture. And I actually make a copy of it, scan it, and put it into a frame. This is a picture of my friend, my mentor. But I realize that when I apply this lesson, I do not understand anything I see in this room. When I look at that picture, I'm, Kyle, looking at something I've applied something to. So, I got the book, it's a red book, and I photocopied it, a nice paper, put it in the frame and everything, and I made it a picture of a representation. But really, that image occurred 40, almost 50 years ago. What was she thinking then? Where was she sitting? What was she being? What was she doing? No concept that 40 years later, one of her students and TAs would have this picture, and I've had the picture for, I guess, almost a decade now, constantly on my mantle, one of my most treasured pictures. So, I do not know what that picture really is. I know what it represents for me, but when I take away my representations of it, the author had one intention for it, Carleen had an intention for it, somebody else looking at it might think, oh, she's probably a relative of his or something. So everybody is assigning meanings to it. Therefore, what is the picture?